शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तः शान्तः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ते सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി. ഇതിനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പീരേന്താത്തോറു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Looks like we have a limited audience today. Okay, so we'll do a quick review of 21 and 22. Vijay, நீங்க ஒன்னு பண்றீங்களா? Preeti, you can do one.
Sure. Dashakam 21. Jambudvipadishu Bhagavad Upashana Prakara Varnanam. मध्योद्भवे भुवैलावृतनाम्नि वर्षे गौरी प्रधान वनिता जनमात्रभाजी सर्वेण मन्त्रनुतिभिः समुपास्यमानं सङ्कर्षणात्मक अधीश्वर संश्रये त्वं भद्रास्वनामक इलावृतपूर्ववर्षे भद्रस्रवोभिर्ऋषिभिः परिणूयमानं कल्पान्तगूढनिगमोद्धरणप्रवीणं ध्यायामि देव शीर्षतनुं भवन्तम् ध्यायामि दक्षिणगते हरिवर्षवर्षे प्रह्लादमुख्यपुरुषैः परिसेव्यमानम् उत्तुङ्गशान्तधवलाकृतिम् एकशुद्धज्ञानप्रदं नरहरिं भगवन् भवन्तम् वर्षे प्रतीचि ललितामणिकेतुमाले लीलाविशेषललितस्मितशोभनाङ्गं लक्ष्म्यः प्रजापतिसुतैश्च निषेव्यमानं तस्या प्रियाय कामतनुं भजे त्वम्
Vijay, in the first line, Lalitat, there's a it sound coming there. Lalitatmani.
ललितात्मनिकेतुमाले लीलाविशेषललितस्मितशोभनाङ्गं लक्ष्म्या प्रजापतिसुतैश्च निषेव्यमानं तस्या प्रियाय कामतनुं भजे त्वं रम्ये युदीचि खलु रम्यकनाम्नि वर्षे तद्वर्षनाथमनुवर्य सपर्यमानम् भक्तैकवत्सलममत्सहस्रहृत्सुभान्तं मत्स्याकृतिं भुवननाथ भजे भवन्तं वर्षं हिरण्मयसमावयमौत्तराहम् आसीनमद्रिधृतिकर्मत कामताङ्गं संसेवते पितृगणप्रवरोर्यमायं तं त्वां भजामि भगवन् परिचिन्मयात्मन्.
Vijay, and the two things, and the last word in the Parachinmayatman.
Parachinmayatman.
And the second line, and the ta that is coming, right? It is like it's like the second ta in Sanskrit, which is it is a little bit of an emphasis ta. So karmatha kamatangam. Okay, so just emphasize the ta when you're saying that. Okay.
Karmatha kamatangam.
Yeah, because first when you said it was like a ta, I heard a th sound. There's no h in that. This is a t ta.
Karmatha kamatangam. संसेवते पितृगणप्रवरोर्यमायं तं त्वां भजामि भगवन् परचिन्मयात्मन् किञ्चोत्तरेषु कुरुषु प्रियया धरण्या संसेवितो महितमन्त्रनुतिप्रभेदैः दंष्ट्राग्रगृष्टघनपृष्ठगरिष्ठवश्मा त्वं पाहि विघ्ननुत यज्ञवराहमूर्ते यां यां दिशं भजति किं पुरुषाख्यवर्षे संसेवितो हनुमता दृढभक्तिभाजा सीताभिराम परमाद्भुतरूपशाली रामात्मका परिलसन् परिपाहि विष्णु श्रीनारदेन सह भारतखण्डमुख्यैः त्वं साङ्ख्ययोगनुतिभिः समुपास्यमानः आकल्पकालमिह साधुजनाभिरक्षिः नारायणो नरसकः परिपाहि भूमन्.
And the third line, be rakshi, there's no visarga there. Just be rakshi only. Birakshihi I heard.
Oh, I have it as Birakshihi. I don't know. I added HI at the end.
You can just remove it. It's just Birakshi only. Okay.
Birakshi. Okay. आकल्पकालमिह साधुजनाभिरक्षि नारायणो नरशकः परिपाहि भूमन् प्लाक्षेर्करूपमैशाल्मल इन्दुरूपं द्वीपे भजन्ति कुशनामणिवर्णिरूपं क्रौञ्चेम्बुरूपमत वायुमयं चशाके त्वां ब्रह्मरूपमयि पुष्करणाम्नि लोक सर्वे सर्वैर्ध्रुवादिभिरुदुप्रकरैर्ग्रहैश्च पुच्छादिकेशवयवेशभि कल्प्यामानैः त्वं सुमारवपुषा महतामुपास्य सन्ध्याशुरुन्धि नरकं मम सिन्धुसायीन्
In the last word, last line, and the Mahatam Upasyah is there, right? So we have to put a is there, and we're putting a plus, which you said it together. But on the after Sandhyasu, there is a comma, okay? So Mahatam Upasya Sandhyasu, comma, Rundhi Narakam Mama Sindhushai.
Okay. I didn't listen properly. I don't have that comma here actually. So
And
I'll
the
add it
Sandhyasu
in.
Kapran, there is a comma, that's all.
Yeah. त्वं शिं सुमारवपुषा महता मुपाश्य सन्ध्याशु रुन्दिनरकं मम सिन्धुसायीन् पाटालमूलभुविशेषतनुं भवन्तं लोलैककुण्डलविराजिसहस्रशीर्षं नीलाम्बरं धृतहलं भुजगाङ्गनाभिर्जुष्टं भजे हरगडान् गुरुगेहनाथा श्रीमन्नारायण.
Very good. Complete the audio.
Yeah. Ajamilo Pakyanam. Ajamilo नाम महीसुरः पुरा चरन् विभो धर्मपथान् गृहाश्रमी गुरोर्गिराकाननमेत्य दृष्टवान् सुदृष्टशीलां कुलठां मदाकुलां स्वतः प्रशान्तोऽपि तदा हृदाशयः स्वधर्ममुत्सृज्य तया समारमन् अधर्मकारि दशमी भवन् पुनः तथौ भवन् नामयुते सुते रतिं समृत्युकाले यमराजकिङ्करान् भयङ्करां स्त्रीनभिलषयन् भिया पुरामणाक्त्वत्संवृत्तिवासनाबलात् जुहावनारायणनामकं सुतम्.
Third line, middle word, Tvat Smriti.
पुरामणाक्त्वत्स्मृतिवासनाबलात् जुहावनारायणनामकं सुतं दुराशयस्यापि तदा वनिर्गत त्वदीयनामाक्षरमात्रवैभवात् पुरोभिपेतुर्भवती यपाशताः चतुर्भुजाः पीतपटा मनोरमाः अमुं च सम्पाश्य विकर्षतो भटान् विमुञ्च्यतेत्यारुरुद्धुर्बलादमी निवारितास्ते च भवज्जनैस्तदा तदीयपापं निखिलं न्यवेदयन् भवन्तु पापानि कथं तु निष्कृते कृतेऽपि भो दण्डनमस्ति पण्डिताः न निष्कृति किं विदिता भवादृशाम् इति प्रभो त्वत्पुरुषा भभाशिरे श्रुतिस्मृतिभ्यां विहिता व्रतादयः पुनन्ति पापं न लुनन्ति वासनाम् अनन्तसेवा तु निकृन्तति त्वयि इति प्रभो त्वत्पुरुषा भभाशिरे अनेन भोजन्म सहस्रकोटिभिः कृतेषु पापेष्वपि निष्कृतिकृता यदग्रहीनाम भयाकुलो हरेः इति प्रभो त्वत्पुरुषा भभाशिरे नृणाम बुद्ध्यापि मुकुन्दकीर्तनं दहत्यघौघान् महिमास्य दादृशः यथाग्निरेधांसि यथौक्षधं गतान् इति प्रभो त्वत्पुरुषा भभाशिरे इति ऋतैर्याम्य भटैरपाश्रिते भवद्भटाम्नां च गणे तिरोहिते भवत्स्मृतिं कञ्चन कालमाचरन् भवत्पदं प्रापि भवदैरसौ स्वकिङ्करावेदन शङ्कितो यमः त्वदग्रीभक्तेषु न गम्यतामिति स्वकीयभृत्यान अशीशिक्ष
Ashishikshat.
Okay, स्वकीयभृत्यान् अशिशिक्षक्तु शिक्षक्तुचकैः सदेव वातालयनाथ पाहि माम्.
So let's do that word again, right? So Bhrityan, okay. Ashishikshad.
शिक्षतुच्चकैः.
Separate the word Uchakaihi and Ashishikshad. So Ashishikshad, Uchakaihi.
Okay, got it.
Ashishikshad is like instructing. That's like I said, it's going to come again in the 24th Dasakam today. Uchakaihi is just loud. So Ashishikshad, Uchakaihi.
स्वकीयभृत्यानशिशिक्षत् उच्चकैः.
Yeah, that's it. You can separate that word, okay? No worries. All right, so we'll get with 23. 23 is like a, like a loaded Dashakam. There is just so much happening in there. And then 24, 25 will be Narasimha Avataram. We'll start with 24 today and finish Narasimha Avataram only next class. Okay, so first half today, let's see here ahead. So Lakshmi Edavaliji, you can be a student, and Shubha Hari, you can be a student. So that Dashakam 23 is Daksha Charitam. It's a continuation of Charitam of Daksha. Second is Chitraketu Upakhyanam. We're going to see about who Chitraketu is. There is also Britrasura Bhadavarnanam. The Britrasura is, that's a very famous Britrasura, which even, like I said, there are certain things, like if you said Narayaneeyam, we have 100 Dashakams, right? Bhagavatam, there are like 18,000 stanzas. So when somebody like a Dushyan Sridhar or somebody comes for a quick upasanam, right? Quick hitting of certain topics, they can't hit everything. There are certain things they hit. This Vritrasura was one such thing that everybody hits upon because it's a very important topic. The Ajamilo Pakyanam, which we saw, is something everybody hits upon, right? So, there are certain things. This is one such chapter which everybody hits on. One portion of this chapter everybody hits on. So, stanza 1. Sorry, Mino, you're saying my voice is not clear. Oh, is it like, is it for everybody or?
I can hear it well.
Okay. So maybe they're download Mino. But let me know if you're not able to hear me. I'm home only. So, stanza 1. प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन्नपरो हि दक्षः त्वत्सेवनं व्यदितसर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूवित तदा लसदष्टबाहुः तस्मै वरं दधिततां च वधूम् असिक्नीम्. So we saw earlier about Daksha Charitram, right? We saw the story about Daksha and how he did not invite Sati and Shiva, right? So and then Veerabhadra went and chopped Daksha's head, and then Daksha went and completed the yagam. We saw that story. So Daksha was born from Brahma, right? So Brahma was the top, and we saw how Daksha came from Brahma itself. So he was a top Prajapati at that time. But because he committed those sins at that time, what happens is he's reborn again. And then in Dashakam 19, we saw how he's reborn as the son of Prachetas. We saw the 10 brothers, if you remember, they went and did, penance on the western side. And then for them, Daksha was reborn. So he was reborn in the Kshatriya clan, right? So because Prachetas, they're all in that category. So anyway, so it is like a little bit of a demotion for him, right? Because from being born as a son of Brahma, you are now born as son of Prachetas, which is also great, but it's still a demotion. So this Daksha Prajapati, now what happens is he goes and does, he wants now his role in this next incarnation or birth of his is also to go be a Prajapati, to be able to, spread birth, right, everywhere. So he, of course, like they all do, he goes and does prayers, he goes and does meditation. So he goes and does meditation. You, O Lord, come in form of Ashtabhahu. You come in the form of, with 8 arms. right? With that form, you give darshanam to Daksha, and then you bless Daksha, and Daksha, of course, he's now recovered, right, from all the sins he has committed. And Narayana instructs him saying that, okay, your role is very clear. You have to be a Prajapati right now, and you have to grow the creation, right? You have to continue that creation. And he says, for that, you should go and marry a lady called as Asikni. So this is actually Vadum Asikni. So this Asikni, she says, is like a daughter of another Prajapati. And because sometimes any job you do, you have to have the right partnership, right? So he says, with you and Asikni, you will be able to generate thousands of beings, which is what is going to happen, right? And then you will be able to grow the population and grow the creation. So that's what is happening in this. So Pracheta Sastu Bhagavan Naparo. So it's like double na coming there. Bhagavan, it's Bhagavan Aparo, but it becomes double na there. So Bhagavan Naparo hi Dakshaha. So put a visarga and comma there. Next line, the is goes away for those who have it. Tvat sevanam vyadhita sarga vibruddhi kamaha avir bhavuvita tada lasadashta bahuhu. Put a visarga comma again, bahuhu. Fourth line, if you have a is, that will go away. Tasmai varam dhadita tam cha vadhum asiknim. You can break it that ma, vadhum asiknim. प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन्नपरो हि दक्षः त्वत्सेवनं व्यदितसर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूवित तथा लसदष्टबाहुः तस्मै वरं धदिततां च वधूमसिक्नीम्.
प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन् नपरोधि दक्षः वत्सेवनं व्यथित सर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूविधि तदा लसदष्टबाहु तस्मै वरं ददिततां च वधूमसिक्रीम्.
The third line, bahuhu, there is a visarga, okay?
Okay.
End of the third line.
प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन् नपरोहि दक्षः त्वत्सेवनं व्यदित सर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूवित तदा लसदष्टबाहुः तस्मै वरं ददिततां च वधूमसिक्रीम्.
Asiknim.
वधूमसिक्नीम्. Okay.
प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन्नपरो हि दक्षः त्वत्सेवनं व्यदितसर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूवित तदा लसदष्टबाहुः तस्मै वरं ददिततां च वधूम् असिक्नीम्. प्राचेतसस्तु भगवन्नपरो हि दक्षः त्वत्सेवनं व्यदितसर्गविवृद्धिकामः आविर्बभूवित तदा लसदष्टबाहुः तस्मै वरं ददितां च वधूम् असिक्नीम्.
On the last line, Shubha, dadhita
Daditatam.
Yeah. So it's two different words. You can leave a small pause there if you want.
Okay.
Answer 2. तस्यात्मजास्त्वयुतमीश पुनः सहस्रं श्रीनारदस्य वचसा तव मार्गमापुः नैकत्र वासमृषये समुमोच शापं भक्तोत्तमस्त्रिशिरनुग्रहमेव मेने. So first to this Daksha and Asikni are born 10,000 children, right? 10,000 children are born, and these all boys. And because the whole purpose of this is they want to drive creation here, So this 10,000 children, when they have to figure out what career they want, they listen to their father in this case. Because Daksha says, like, I'm a Prajapati. And the whole reason for me to create all of you is to drive that more creation has to happen, right? He says, you all have to go and become Prajapatis too. So you all have to go and increase creation. And for that, what you do is, like they said, before doing anything, you have to go do penance. So they say you go and do more penance. So they all go to the northwest portion of India then, in the place called Narayanasara, right? They go there and they do severe penance. Now, sometimes you pick a career and then some counselor will come and divert your career. That's what happens. So Narada comes. Narada comes to that place and say, this is a Punya Kshetram, right? The moment you touch the water of Narayana Saras, you become holy. And these people for 10,000 years have been, or for several years, have been sitting there, all these 10,000 people, kids, sitting there praying, bathing in that river, doing non-stop meditation. So Narayana says, why do you want to get into this process of creation, right? Abandon all of that. You all are ripe for liberation. So get into that path, very similar to what happened to the Sanat Kumara. So Narada convinces these 10,000 sons to not pursue creation, but get into the path of liberation, which is just focus on meditation and prayers. Now, Daksha gets very upset about this. So he then has another round where he has 1,000 more sons. All these 1,000 sons also go to the same place, Narayana Saras. They also do the same meditation and everything. Similar, same thing happened. Narada again comes, convinces them also, saying you are not supposed to be doing creation. You are supposed to focus on meditation. That's why Ayutam Isha Punas Sahasram. First an Ayutam, 10,000. Then another 1,000, 11,000. So all of this, Narada comes. So
Narada Muni controlled population very soon. Narada Muni controlled the population nicely.
Not going to happen, but he tried. So because Narada went and blocked it, Daksha is also a big Prajapati, right? So they all are very powerful. So Daksha gives a curse to Narada. Says, because you went and blocked what I was intending to do and my children were intending to do, you are going to be homeless. Okay, that's the curse Daksha gives Narada. Narada is also extremely powerful. He could have retaliated back, but such great devotees of the Lord, they never retaliate back. So whatever, even if a curse is given, they say, that is what Bhagavan wanted to happen to me. So Narada says, let that be a curse. Let me not have a home. Right? So that's why, Narada doesn't have a place. Like we say, Brahma sits in Satyaloka. We say all these people sit in various lokas. Narada doesn't have a home for himself. He's always wandering. That's why we all know him as a wandering sage, because that's what he does. He says, I'm going to use it as an opportunity to just keep traveling every time. And every time I travel, I'm going to go talk about Narayana. I'm going to turn it into an advantage and turn it into a blessing. So that's what is happening here. So Bhaktottamas Tushir Anugrahameva. He says, I'm going to take this as a blessing that I'm getting cursed, right? That I do not have a home. So Tasyatmajas Tvayutamisha Punas Sahasram, Sri Naradasya Vachasa Tava Margamapuhu Naikatra Vasamrishaye Sa Mumocha Shapam, Bhaktottamas Trishir, you can break at that ra. Trishir Anugrahameva Mene. Okay, so the ra that is there, I'm just breaking it so it's easy. Trishir Anugrahameva Mene. Tasyatmajastvayutamisha punas sahasram Srinaradasya vachasa tava margamapuhu Naikatra vasamrishaye samumocha shapam Bhaktottamas Trishir Anugrahameva Mene.
Tasyatmajastava Yutamesha Punassahastram Srinaradasya Vachasa Tava Margamapuhu Naikatravas Mrishayetsa Mumocha Shapam Bhaktottmastava Vrishi Ranugrahame Mene.
That last word, Lakshmiji, is Trishir. You cannot break that word. So it's like it and a vr. Trishir.
So it is Bhaktottamas.
Bhaktottamas is one word.
Okay.
And then Trishir is another word.
Tottama is one word. Trishir. Is it true?
No, it's not tr. It's a it and a vr. Trishir. So it's like TVRI.
TVRI.
Trishir.
Vrishir.
Sorry, I just type it on the chat here. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
You continue. Just continue the rest.
Okay.
Raj, இந்த அந்த மாக்கு அப்புறம் வர மாக்கும் அந்த இத்துக்கும் நடுவுல இஸ் சவுண்ட் வருது.
Yeah, his sound is coming. So Bhakto Tamas
Tamas Vrishir, right?
Trishir. Yes, I just typed it in the chat window here. The Trishir English.
Okay. Trishir. Got it. Okay.
ராஜேஷ், அந்த இத்துக்கும் இல்ல இஸ்ஸுக்கும் இவ்வுக்கு இடையில இத்து வேற வருது.
ஆமா, அதான் அந்த டி ஆயிடுறது. Trishir, right? If you look at the spelling I put.
அந்த இவ் சவுண்ட் வராதா? த்ரிஷூர்னு வருதம்மா அப்படின்னா?
இல்ல, the v vr.
So it's vr.
So it's tvr.
Okay.
THVR technically. THVR.
Okay.
Tasyatmajas tava yutamesha punassahasram Srinaradasya vachasa tava margamapuhu naikatravasa mrishayesas mumocha shapam bhaktottamas trishir nugrahame vamena
Anugrahame vamene.
Okay. Mene, yes.
Tasyatmajas-tvayutamisha punassahasram Srinaradasya vachasa tava margamapuhu naikatravasam rishayecha mamocha shapam bhaktotamas Trishir anugrahame vamene.
Shubha, third line mumocha.
ராஜேஷ், ஒரு அந்த பக்தோத்தமஸ்துவ ரிஷிர் அனுகிரகான பிரிக்க முடியுமா?
அது பிடிக்க முடியாது. It is twa rishir only, but அது வந்து generally in Sanskrit when they have two words like that joined together, you cannot break it in the other rule. It becomes rishir, but it is twa rishir only. Rishihi. So
okay.
Tasyatmajas tvayutamisha punassahasram Srinaradasya vachasa tava margamapuhu naikatravasram rishayecha mumochapshapam bhaktotamas Trishir anugrahame vamene.
Plus, I think no correction, but Jyoti plus also that is tu and rishihi. It's not tu, so it's like it's tu and rishi. So it's two different words, right? Which becomes trishir. So
okay.
Anyway, answer 3. Shashtyan tato duhitrubhes sujata kulaugan dauhitra sunurata tasya sa vishwarupah त्वत्स्तोत्र वर्मितमजापयदिन्द्रमाजो देवत्वदीय महिमा खलु सर्वजैत्रः. Like I said, this chapter is full of content, right? Because otherwise, without getting into the details, you will not understand this. So next 11,000 sons gone, right? So next he has 60 daughters. He says, okay, sons are not an option. I'm going to go the route of my daughters, right? So he has 60 daughters. So all of who then get married. So he gives like, some daughters get married to Dharmaraja, and then few go to various Prajapatis, because at the end of the day, Prajapatis are responsible for creation. So he then has 17 daughters who gets married to Kashyapa, right? So to Kashyapa and Aditi, who's one of the daughters of this, is born a person called as Twasta. It's a very powerful demigod, okay? And that name is going to come multiple times. So you should remember the name Twasta. To the Twasta, what the Twasta does is, he actually goes and, which was like a deva, he's a demigod. This Twasta goes and marries a Asura lady called Rachana, Racana. To this Twasta and Rachana is actually born another powerful set of kids. One of them is called as a Vishwarupa. Okay. Now the way the Vishwarupa is going to come is, once when Indra was ruling the gods, at that time Brihaspati the sage comes to visit Indra. So Indra does not respect. So he does not get up and welcome Brihaspati and respect. He's sitting and just enjoying. So at the time Brihaspati does not curse Indra, But he says, I don't want to be associated with you anymore. And Brihaspati just walks away. So, but because the guru goes away, these gods or the gods, they become very weak. So Indra starts losing with the asuras. So he goes in search of Brihaspati, and they are not able to find Brihaspati, and Brihaspati is not interested. So Indra then goes to Brahma and says, I'm losing all my power because my guru is not there with me. What do you advise? At that time, Brahma says, you go to this Twasta's son Vishwarupa, who has learned Narayana Kavacham from Twasta, and that Narayana Kavacham you learn from that Vishwarupa. And once you learn that Narayana Kavacham from Vishwarupa, you will become powerful. So Indra then goes and learns Narayana Kavacham from Vishwarupa, and then he becomes powerful, and then he's defeating. So this is the place where the Narayana Kavacham comes in Bhagavatam, right? So as you all know, when we do the Parayanam, even the one which we're going to do next week, we're going to chant Narayana Kavacham at the front. And for this class, I will teach Narayana Kavacham at the very end. It's not part of Narayaneeyam, it's part of Bhagavatam, but it's very powerful Kavacha mantra, right? So that's the context here. So Indra is getting that Narayana Kavacham from Vishwarupa, and then he's able to go and defeat all the asuras. So Shashtya Tato Duhitribihi, put a is, Duhitribis, Srijataha, put a ich sound, Srijatah, Kulaughan, comma, Dauhitra. See, Dauhitra, like we say, Naptaram, Vyasam, Vashishta, Naptaram, Prutostu Napta, Prutudharma Karmataha, that we saw in Prutu Charitram. Napta is great grandson on the father's side. So here, Dauhitra is the great grandson on the mother's, girl's side. So father's, daughter's son, right? In that lineage. Anyway, Dauhitra Sunurata Tasyasa Vishwarupaha Tvat Stotra Varmitam, you can break it that ma, Varmitam Ajapayad Indramajau. It'd be easy to say it. Ajapayad Indramajau, comma, Deva Tvadiya Mahima Kalu Sarva Jaitraha. So here the Tvat Stotram that Bhattacharya part is referring to is the Narayana Kavacham. Shashtya Tato Duhitrubhis Sujatah Kulaughan Dauhitra Sunurata Tasya Savishwarupaha Tvat Stotra Varmitam Ajapayadindra Majau Deva Tvadiya Mahima Kalu Sarva Jaitraha.
Shashtya tato duhitrubis srijat kulaughan dauhitras sunuratha tasya sa vishwarupaha tvatstotra varmitama ajapaya indramajau devattvadiya mahima khalu sarva jaitraha. Oh my God.
You said it correct only. Tvat stotra varmitam ajapayat indramajau.
Varmitam ajapaya indramajau. Yeah. Okay. Try it again. Shashtya tato trubis srijat kulaughan dauhitra sunu ratha tasya sa vishwarupaha tvatstotra varmitama is there varmitam
ajapaya.
Sorry, varmitam ajapaya indramajau devatvadiya mahima khalu sarva jaitraha.
Rajesh, your question, Ajapaya Dindrava, Ajapaya Indra.
Ajapaya it indramajau.
Sastya tato duhitribhis srijata kulaughan dauhitra sunurata tasya cha vishwarupaha tvatsostra varmitam ajapayat indramajau devatvadiya mahima kalu sarva jaitraha. Sastya tato duhitribhis srijata कुलौघान् दौहित्रसूनुरत तस्य च विश्वरूपः त्वत्सोऽस्त्र वर्मितम् अजापयत् इन्द्रमाजौ देवत्वदीयमहिमा खलु सर्वजैत्रः.
இப்போ அந்த செகண்ட் லைன் தஸ்ய அடுத்த லெட்டர் வந்து சா, நாட் சா.
Okay.
தஸ்ய
विश्व
प्राक्षूरसेन विषये किल चित्रकेतुः पुत्राग्रही नृपतिरङ्गिरसः प्रभावात् लब्ध्वैकपुत्रमत तत्र हते सपत्नी सङ्गैः अमुह्यदवशस्तव माययासौ. So we saw the Daksha thing, what happened, right? That's the first part. First 3 stanzas were devoted to Daksha Charitram of this. Next, we're going to switch over. It's going to be 3 different stories, but eventually they're all connected only. So now we're going to a completely new story, which in the kingdom of Shurasena, there used to be a king called Chitraketu. So Chitraketu was also a very religious king, very powerful king. Everything was going well for him. He had one problem, is he did not have any child. So he had lots of wives, right? But he did not have any children. So when he was always praying and worshipping and doing all that. So the sage Angirasa, so once when he was traveling, he comes to meet Chitraketu because he felt that Chitraketu was ripe for somebody who should be ready to get liberated at this point. That was the stage of Chitraketu's life. So this Angirasa comes to Chitraketu to help him out, to say, okay, let me help you in the path of renunciation. But Chitraketu's mind was busy with something else. He says, I desperately want a son. So this Angirasa says that's not important, all that in life. But he says, no, I really want a son. So what Angirasa does is they perform it's a sacrifice, and he gives some medicine or something. He says you can give it to one of your wives, right? And you'll have a son. So he has so many wives. So he goes and gives it to the first wife. To that first wife, a son is born. So naturally, when that son is born, Chitraketu is getting very attached to that wife, getting very attached to that son. And all this happens, all the other wives become very jealous because, they are not going to have any children. And plus Chitraketu is not paying them any attention. So what they do is they end up killing that child, that small child. I don't know what age was, small child still. So not when it's born, but after a few years, right? They end up killing the child. So because Chitraketu is now extremely depressed because he finally got a son, and now they realize that his own family members end up killing the child. So he's also kind of, he faints right now because, the child is dead. Prakshura Sena Vishaye Kila Chitraketuhu, Putragrahi Nripatir Angirasa. If you want to break it, Nripatir Angirasaha, put a F to join, Angirasa Prabhavat, Labdvaika Putramata Tatra Hate Sapatni, put a plus, Sanghaihi. So that after that word, we're going to put a comma. So the ra that is there, it becomes a visarga and a comma. Sanghaihi. Because Sapatni Sanghaihi means a group. As a group, all of his other wives kill the child. Sapatni Sanghaihi, comma. The next word will start with the a because we cut that ra. Amuhyad avashas tava mayayaso. If you want to really break it, amuhyad avashas tava mayayaso. Little bit of a tongue twister, that word. Prakshurasena vishaye kila chitraketuhu putragrahi nripatirangirasah prabhavat labdvaika putramata tatra hate sapatni sangaihi amuhyadavashastava mayayaso.
प्राक्षूरसेन विषये किल चित्रकेतुः पुत्राग्रही नृपतिर् अङ्गरसः प्रभवात् लब्ध्वैकपुत्रमत तत्र हते सपत्नी सङ्गैः अमुह्य अवशस्त्व माययासौ.
That's second line, Nripatir Angirasah.
Okay. Angirasa. Rasaha.
Rasaha is there, that become Visarga will become an F to join. Angirasah Prabhavat.
Angirasa. Okay. प्राक्षूरसेन विषये किल चित्रकेतुः पुत्राग्रही नृपतिर् अंगिरसः प्रभावात् लब्ध्वैक पुत्रमत तत्र हते सपत्नी संगैः अमुह्य अवशस्त्व माययासौ.
You can say it in two ways, that word. Amuhya davashas in one flow. Okay? Amuhya davashas. One, yes, two is one word. If you want to break it, it becomes amuhyat avashas.
Amuhya davashastva seems to be easy for me.
Yeah, you can just say the whole word together. Amuhya davashas as together.
Okay. So, लब्ध्वैकपुत्रमथ तत्र हते सपत्नी संघैः अमुह्य दवशस्त्व माययासौ.
Yeah.
ஒரே curious இந்த அங்கிரச right? So when they say the abhivadaye, they say angirasa, right? Angirasa and angirasa are same?
Yeah, it's the same thing. See, we say Kashyapa, Angirasa, right? So the name is Kashyapa, Angirasa. But when I'm prostrating to that sage, that becomes Angirasa, Kashyapa, but it's the same sage.
प्राक्षूरसेन विषये किल चित्रकेतुः पुत्रग्रही नृपतिरङ्गिरसः प्रभावात् लब्ध्वैकपुत्रमत तत्र हते सपत्नीसङ्गैः अमुह्यत् अवशस्तव माययासौ. प्राक्षूरसेन विषये किल चित्रकेतुः पुत्रग्रही नृपतिरङ्गिरसप्रभावात् लब्ध्वैकपुत्रमत तत्र हते सपत्नीसङ्गैः अमुह्यत् अवशस्तव माययासौ.
तं नारदस्तु सममङ्गिरसादयालुः सम्प्राप्य तावदुपदर्श्य सुतस्य जीवम् कस्यास्मि पुत्र इति तस्य गिरा विमोहं त्यक्त्वा त्वदर्चन विदौ नृपतिं न्ययुङ्क्त. So Chitraketu is like extremely depressed now, right? So he's just lying down there next to the body of the dead son and he's lamenting. So at that time, the sage Angirasa comes again. This time he's also coming with Narada and they both are dressed as like ordinary some Brahmins, right? And they come and ask the king, why are you so depressed? So the king says, my only son, I have lost that son. So of course I'm going to be depressed, right? A family member is dead and I'm going to be depressed. So this Angirasa says, yeah, but what is the relation between you and the dead body right now? Or what does the dead body call you? Dead body cannot talk anymore, right? The son is gone. So what is that relation? So they keep asking those questions. And that gets Chitraketu to think that, you are not ordinary people. So he asks them, who are you? So he says, I am sage Angirasa and Narada. They have come to help you. So he says, okay, how? So once a soul has left the body, it cannot come back into that body. Not possible. However, there are certain instances we will see where the soul can be brought back temporarily, not permanently, temporarily by great people. One, Narada is going to do. Second, Krishna is going to do to the Shad Garbhas to Devaki later, much towards the end. Here, Narada brings back that soul back temporarily in a body. And that he tells that body, very beautiful conversation that happens between Narada and that soul. Narada goes and tells the soul, you know what, welcome back. You see all these people here, they're all crying for you. Everybody wants you back, right? Everybody wants you back. And, this entire kingdom is yours because Chitraketu is ruling over almost the entire earth. So he says, everybody, you are going to be the king of the entire earth. You have all these people who are repenting, they committed a sin. They all love you. Why don't you come back? So you know what that soul says? It says, Kasyasmi putra iti. He says, in which birth of mine were they my parents? The soul says, I've had so many births. I've had births as insects. I've had births as animals. I've had births as humans. I've had birth as so many different people. I don't know which birth of mine you are referring to anymore. Because the soul has moved on. The soul never retains connection like that. It has already moved on. He says, I have already moved on in my soul's journey. So you are still telling me to come back? No matter what you do, I'm not interested, because that was a small incarnation the soul had to take for whatever purpose. And that purpose is done. I have moved on. So the soul says, thank you. No matter what you give, I'm not going to come back. So that then gets Chitraketu and the people to realize, oh my God, I'm breaking my head on somebody who has passed away, thinking about them so much, but that soul has already moved on. That soul doesn't want to come back to me anymore. Soul doesn't love me anymore, essentially, right? It has already moved on. That's what it is. That particular role is done, right, for the soul. Anyway, that's a conversation, beautiful conversation that happens between Narada and the soul to prove to Chitraketu, once somebody has passed, do not lament too much about it, because you are not going to get them back, and they also won't want to come back, right? That's what's happening here. So tam naradastu samam angirasa dayaluhu, samprapya tavad upadharshya sutasya jivam kasyasmi putra iti tasya gira vimoham, and then put a plus, and we're going to say those two lines together. Vimoham tyaktva tvadarchana vidhau nripatim nyayungta. Tam naradastu samamangirasa dayaluhu samprapya tavad upadarshya sutasya jivam kasyasmi putra iti tasya gira vimoham tyaktva tvadarchana vidhau nripatim nyayungta.
Tam naradastu samamam girasa dayaluhu. Okay, let me repeat. Tam naradastu samamam girasa dayaluhu samprapya tavadupadarshya sutasya jivam kasyasmi putra iti tasya gira vimoham tvaktva tvadarchana vidhau nripatim nyayukta. Tam naradastu samamangirasa dayaluhu samprapya tavadupadarshya sutasya jivam kasyami putra iti tasya gira vimoham tyaktva tvadarchana vidhau nripatim nyayukta. Nyayungta.
Tam naradastu samamangirasa dayaluhu samprapya tavadupadarshya sutasya jivam kasyasmi putra iti tasya gira vimoham tyaktva tvadarchana vidau nipratim nyayungta. Tam naradastu samamangirasa dayaluhu samprapya tavadupadarshya sutasya jivam kasyasmi putra iti tasya gira vimoham tyaktva tvadarchana vidau nipratim nyayungta.
We'll switch halfway. Lakshmi Kamalaji, you can be a student, and Harini, you can be a student.
Sure, thank you.
Answer 6. Stotram cha mantramapi naradatoota labdhva toshaya shesha vapusho nanute tapasyan vidyadharadi patitam sahi saptaratre labdvapya kuntamatiran vabhajat bhavantam. So then Chitraketu comes to the realization. He says, true, because if every father keeps asking for their dead child, which father will the soul go to? So the soul is moved on. Chitraketu says, I've come to the realization. And Angirasa says, that's what I had come early on to get you into the path of liberation. But you were not interested. You were still attached to the material things of having a child. Now that that is also gone, you can move into this path. So Narada then teaches him a mantra. He says, I'm going to teach you a mantra, which if you say for 7 days, and this is a mantra towards, towards Sankarshana, towards Adishesha. He says, you go chant this mantra for 7 days, which he does, and then he becomes Vidyadharadi Patitam. Vidyadharas are demigods too. So outside of the Bhuloka, in the Bhuvaloka and other lokas, they are demigods. So he becomes the head of Vidyadharas, because for 7 days non-stop, he's chanting this one mantra of Sankarshana that Narada has taught him. So Stotram cha mantramapi Naradatota labdhva, toshaya shesha vapusho. Shesha vapusho means the one who has the form of a snake. So Adishesha, shesha vapusho. Nanu te tapasyan vidyadharadi patitam sahi sapta ratre, put a plus, labdhvapya kuntha matir anva bhajat. If you want to break it, that matir anva bhajat bhavantam. Those two lines are together. स्तोत्रं च मन्त्रमपि नारदतोत लब्ध्वा तोषाय शेषवपुषो ननु ते तपस्यन् विद्याधराधिपतितां स हि सप्तरात्रे लब्ध्वाप्यकुण्ठमतिरन्व भजद्भवन्तम्.
स्तोत्रं च मन्त्रमपि नारदतोत लब्ध्वा तोषाय शेषवपुषो ननु ते तपस्यन् विद्याधराधिपतितां स हि सप्तरात्रे लब्ध्वाप्यकुण्ठमतिरन्व भजद्भवन्तम्. स्तोत्रं च मन्त्रमपि नारदतोत लब्ध्वा तोषाय शेषवपुषो ननु ते तपस्यन् विद्याधराधिपतितां स हि सप्तरात्रे लब्ध्वाप्यकुण्ठमतिरन्व भजद्भवन्तम्.
स्तोत्रं च मन्त्रमपि नारदोत लब्ध्वा तोषाय शेषवपुषो ननु ते तपस्यन् विद्याधराधिपतितं स हि सप्तरात्रे लब्ध्वाप्यकुण्ठमतिरन्व भजद्भवन्तम्. स्तोत्रं च मन्त्रमपि नारदोत लब्ध्वा तोषाय शेषवपुषो ननु ते तपस्यन् विद्याधराधिपतितां स हि सप्तरात्रे लब्ध्वाप्यकुण्ठमतिरन्व भजद्भवन्तम्.
Harini, and the first line, Narada Thota.
Narada Thota.
Okay. And the seventh. Tasmai mrinala dhavalena sahasrashirshna रूपेण बद्धनुति सिद्धगणावृतेन प्रादुर्भवन्न चिरतो नृतिभिः प्रसन्नो दत्त्वात्मतत्त्वमनुगृह्य तिरोधदात. So even though this Chitraketu became the head of the Vidyadhara, so he became very powerful, he still continued to pray to Lord Sankarshana, pray to Adishesha, and eventually after a long period of tapas, you Narayana, you come in the form of Adishesha with 1,000 heads and come like white in color, like the Adishesha is pure like a white lotus in color. You come in that form and then bless Chitraketu. So you say Chitraketu, you come to the realization of what is important. You also seeing me. Once you see the form of the Lord, you get pure automatically. So he says you have now eliminated all your material attachments, you have eliminated all your sins, and plus Adishesha then gives the supreme knowledge to Chitraketu as well. So he becomes extremely powerful, right? He gets all the Ashtasiddhis. We'll see what happens. So he gets very powerful as a result of that. So, Tasmai.
Rajeshji, sorry, just curious, why should the Lord come in the form of Adishesha? Why can't he come in the form of himself?
Because the mantram that Narada taught Chitraketu was to worship Sankarshana, was to worship Adishesha. That was the mantram he taught, which is like in the previous Tosha Yashesha Vapusho Nanute Tapasyan. You did tapas to Narayana in the form of Adishesha. So there is a specific mantra that is there. Tasmai Mrinala Dhavalena Sahasra Shirshna, Rupena Bhaddanuti Siddha Ganavritena Pradurbhavan Nachirato, double na there, Pradurbhavan Nachirato Nutibihi, put a F to join, Nutibif Prasanno, Dattvatma, I'm going to break it into 3 words there. Dattvatma Tattvam Anugrihya. So it will be easy. Tattvam Anugrihya Tirodhadata. Tasmai Mrinala Dhavalena Sahasrashirshna Rupena Baddhanuti Siddhagana Britena Pradurbhavanna Chirato Nutibih Prasanno Dattvatma Tattvam Anugrihya Tirodhadata.
तस्मै मृणालधवलेन सहस्रशीर्ष्णा रूपेण बद्धनुति सिद्धगणावृतेण प्रादुर्भवन्न चिरतो नुतिभिः प्रसन्नो दत्त्वात्मतत्त्वमनुगृह्य तिरोधधाता. तस्मै मृणालधवलेन सहस्रशीर्ष्णा रूपेण बद्धनुति सिद्धगणावृतेन प्रादुर्भवन्न चिरतो नुतिभिः प्रसन्नो दत्वात्मतत्त्वमनुगृह्य तिरोदधाता
तस्मै मृणालधवलेन सहस्रशीर्ष्णा रूपेण बद्धनुति सिद्धगणावृतेन प्रादुर्भवन्न चिरतो नृतिभिः प्रसन्नो दत्त्वात्मतत्त्वमनुगृह्य तिरोदधाता तस्मै मृणालधवलेन सहस्रशीर्ष्णा रूपेण बद्धनुति सिद्धगणावृतेन प्रादुर्भवन्न चिरतो नृतिभिः प्रसन्नो दत्त्वात्मतत्त्वमनुगृह्य तिरोदधाता
त्वद्भक्तमौलिरतसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्घातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार. So this Vidyadharas, like we said, right, he becomes even more powerful than the Vidyadharas right now. So they themselves are a little bit like demigods. He becomes even more powerful than them. And he's already on the path of realization, right? And we'll see how in a lot of cases, we saw the case of Daksha, how he got demoted down. And there are a lot of examples. We saw it that this thing, I was telling you very briefly about in the Rishabha Yogeshwara about the Jada Bharata Charitram, which comes. We just touched upon the name Bharata, but Jada Bharata Charitram also a lot of examples where they go up in life and come down in life in the next birth. So similarly here, right now, this Chitraketu, from an ordinary king, he has become very powerful. He gets Ashta Siddhi, which means he can go anywhere he wants, right? And that's what he does. He's completely realized soul right now. No material attachments, no attachments to senses. He can go anywhere he wants, and he's spending several years, laksham. He's spending thousands and lakhs of years just traveling all over, always praying to you. Tvad bhakta maulirata sopi cha laksham, put a plus, varshani harshulamana bhuvaneshu kamam. Those two lines are together. Sangapayan gunaganam tava sundaribihi, comma, sangatireka rahito lalitam chachara. त्वद्भक्तमौलिरतसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्गातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार.
त्वद्भक्तमौलिरतसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्गातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार. त्वद्भक्तमौलिरथसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्गातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार.
त्वद्भक्तमौलिरतसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्गातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार. त्वद्भक्तमौलिरथसोऽपि च लक्षलक्षं वर्षाणि हर्षुलमना भुवनेषु कामं सङ्गापयन् गुणगणं तव सुन्दरीभिः सङ्गीतरेकरहितो ललितं चचार.
In the last line, first word,
सङ्गातिरेकरहितो ललितं चचार. Thank you.
अत्यन्तसङ्गविलयाय भवत्प्रणुन्नो नूनं स्वरूप्य गिरिमाप्य महत्समाजे निःशङ्कमङ्ककृतवल्लभमङ्गजारिं तं शङ्करं परिहसन्नुमयाभिषेपे. So one day, when he was extremely powerful and he was traveling through space, he then decided to fly over Kailasha. Like we said, Kailasha is not in this earth, it's in the upper planetary system. So he was flying over Kailasha. There he saw Lord Shiva was sitting. And right next to Lord Shiva, Parvati was sitting. And all the other people were sitting, like how it was, right? They were all sitting. So this Chitraketu is very powerful now, right? He has Ashta Siddhi. So like Hanuman, right? He's very powerful. And he makes a comment. Unnecessarily he makes a comment because time is not good. So he makes a comment saying that Lord Shiva is the head of austerities, right? He is the one who's completely liberated, who's not attached to anything. How can he, in the midst of other people, show affection to his wife? He says that is not right. He is supposed someone who should have abandoned everything, but him having Parvati seated right next to him and then showing affection to Parvati in a public setting where everybody is there is not right. He makes a comment like that. Shiva does not respond at all, but Parvati gets very offended. She says, "You are supposed to be going to Vaikuntham because you're supposed to be liberated. How can you judge other people's relationships and feelings?" Right? So she says you are not ready to go to Vaikuntham. You are not there yet because you are not able to get your things under control because she's judging here, right? He says because of that, Uma, that's why it says Tam Shankaram Parihasan Umayabhishepe. So she gets a curse from Parvati saying you're not ready to be in this state. So you have to get demoted, right? We'll see what happens. So he's going to get demoted from this state right now. So atyanta sanga vilayaya bhavat pranunno, nunam sa rupya girimapya mahat samaje nishankam anka. You can break that word. Nishankam anka krita vallabham angajarim. Again, that ma you can break it. Vallabham angajarim. It's a long word, Tam shankaram Parihasan Numayabhishepe. It's a double in, it's an in and a nu coming there. But the word is Umayabhishepe, but the u becomes a nu there because of the in. So Parihasan Numayabhishepe. Atyanta Sanga Vilayaya Bhavat Pranunno Nunam Sarupya Girimapya Mahat Samaje Nishankamanka Kritavallabhamangajarim Tam Shankaram Parihasan Numayabhishepe.
Rajesh ji,
Rajesh,
second
one
line,
sorry.
ரௌப்யகி கொடுத்துருக்கு. நீங்க ரூப்யகி சொல்றேன். So
Rupya. So just change it to Rupya if you have.
Rupya, okay.
Rupya Girima.
Rajesh ji, one more question. First line endல வந்து பவத் பிரணுன்னான்னு இருக்கு.
I'll just change it to pranunno. It means the same thing. Sometimes they might end it like a visarga. In some places they would make it a o. It comes in a lot of places that will happen. So just change it to pranunno.
Okay.
అత్యంత సంగ విలయాయ భవత్ ప్రణున్నో నూనం సరూప్య గిరిమాప్య మహత్ సమాజే నిశ్శంకమంక కృత వల్లభమంగజారిం తం శంకరం పరిహసన్ను మయాభిషేపే అత్యంత సంగ విలయాయ భవత్ ప్రణున్నో నూనం సరూప్య గిరిమాప్య మహత్ సమాజే నిశ్శంకమంకృతవల్లభమంగజారిం తం శంకరం పరిహసన్ను మయాభిషేపే.
అత్యంత సంగ విలయాయ భవత్ ప్రణున్నో నూనం సరూప్య గిరిమాప్య మహత్ సమాజే నిశంకమంక కృతవల్లభమంగజారిం తం శంకరం పరిహసన్నుమయాభిషేపే. పరిహసన్నుమయాభిషేపే. అత్యంత సంగ విలయాయ భవత్ ప్రణున్నో నూనం సరూప్య గిరిమాప్య మహత్ సమాజే నిశంకమంక కృతవల్లభమంగజారిం తం శంకర तं शङ्करं परिहसन्नुमयाभिषेपे
Parihasannumayabhi.
परिहसन्नुमयाभिषेपे.
Yeah, that's it. निःसम्भ्रमस्त्वयमयाचितशापमोक्षो वृत्रासुरत्वमुपगम्य सुरेन्द्रयोधी भक्त्यात्मतत्त्वकथनैः समरे विचित्रं शत्रोरपि भ्रममपास्य गतः पदं ते. This is where the two stories are going to intersect right now. So in the first three stanzas, we saw the Daksha Charitram today. And, in the Daksha Charitram, we ended with how Indra got Vishwarupa as a teacher because Brihaspati went away and Vishwarupa then taught Indra Narayana Kavacham. We ended there. Then from 4 to 9, we saw the story of Chitraketu, who then becomes extremely powerful and then gets cursed by Uma to go down. So those are the two parallel threads we saw. Now we'll kind of go back a little bit. So this Vishwarupa, like we said, his father Twasta, who was a demigod, had married an Asura lady called Rachana, and to whom Vishwarupa was born. So when Vishwarupa was performing all these sacrifices for the Devas, Homams, Yajnas, he still had a little attachment to the Asura side because his mother Rachana is an Asura. Right? So what he used to do was every time he used to put something to the Devas, offerings, for every 3 offerings he used to put to the Devas, he used to put a separate offering to the Asuras also because he was attached to the Asuras. So suddenly over a long period of time, Indra realizes that how come the Asuras continue to gain strength, which is not feasible. Then he comes to know that this Vishwarupa, who taught him Narayana Kavacham, who is his guru, also has a little bit of affection towards the Asuras and has been helping them. Vishwarupa has 3 heads. So this Indra then goes and chops off Vishwarupa's heads, saying, you cheated on me and cheated on the entire Deva clan by trying to help the Asuras. So Indra goes and kills Vishwarupa. So when Indra kills Vishwarupa, his father Twasta, who taught him Narayana Kavacham, gets very upset. And he then performs another yajnam. And this is where, they say, when you say the Veda mantras, there is a dhirgam and swaritam, you stretch up, you go right and all that stuff, you go low. He says the importance of those mantras because you have to learn it from a renowned guru. Here, Twasta is offering a mantra to the Homam to say, O enemy of Indra, okay, that's the thing he says. Actually, he says, the enemy of Indra, come up and kill Indra without any delay. That's the offering he's doing to the fire. So instead of saying enemy of Indra, come and kill Indra without any delay, that mantram becomes Indra, who's an enemy, come and kill your enemy without any delay. It just switches because he doesn't say the long portion somewhere. There's some complicated explanation for that. So while he's doing these prayers, he ends up saying the wrong mantra, and then an Asura is coming out of that fire. That Asura is that Vrittasura. This Vrittasura is no one else other than Chitraketu, who got cursed by Uma, being born as an Asura right now. So that Asura is coming up. And then the Twasta is saying, your role is to go fight Indra and then kill Indra. But unfortunately, the mantra has been switched. So the Asura is not as powerful. And Indra then, goes to Narayana. Narayana goes to Dadichi, says Dadichi's bone, because Dadichi has been saying Narayana Kavacham for so long. He says his bone is extremely strong. So from his bone, you create a weapon because his bone is filled with Narayana Kavacham, and then you go and fight with this Vrittasura. So Indra goes and fights Vrittasura. Vrittasura loses because that he is destined to lose. But because he's Chitraketu being reborn, he still has all of that knowledge. And he gives Indra this long discussion that happens between Chitraketu and Indra, where Chitraketu as Vrittasura, and Indra, where he teaches Indra stuff. So Indra is really amazing. How can you be so knowledgeable? Right? You are almost liberated. What happened? Then he says, I was almost liberated. Then I made a stupid mistake by going and commenting on Shiva and Parvati, and then I got cursed. Right? So anyway, that is the Vrittasura Charitram. Eventually, he gets liberated, Vrittasura, after the battle with Indra. He loses that battle with Indra, but still teaches Indra everything, and eventually he reaches liberation. That's how all these stories tie together, and the Vrittasura Charitram is talked about, right, as something that eventually, once you get into the path of devotion, liberation, even if you commit mistakes, that doesn't go away. It still remains in you. right? And that's what we see in the Jadabarita Charitram, Vritasura Charitram. All of that teaches one thing is, whatever spiritual knowledge you have gained, you are not going to lose it even across births.
One question: is this the Chitraketu doing to kill Indra?
No, Chitraketu is born as Vritasura.
Chitraketu was born Vritasura.
So this Vishwarupa, who's Indra's teacher, because Indra kills Vishwarupa, his father Twasta, who is the grandson of Daksha, that Twasta is doing the homam.
The Twasta is doing homam to.
So it's kind of two different stories intersect, here. So Nissambhramas Tvayam Ayachita Shapa Moksho, Vritrasura Twamupagamya Surendra Yodhi, Bhaktyatma Tattva Katanaihi, is to join, Katanais Samare Vichitram, Shatrorapi Brahmamapasya Gatah Padamte. Nissambhramastvayamaya shapa moksho vritrasuratvamupagamya surendra yodhi bhaktyatma tattva katanai samare vichitram shatrorapi brahmamapasya gatah padam te.
Nissambhramastvayamaya shapamoksho vritrasuratvamupagamya surendra yodhi bhaktyatvatatmakatanai samare vichitram shatrorapi brahmamapasya gatah padante. Nissambhramastvayamaya shapamoksho vritrasuratvamupagamya surendra yodhi bhaktyatma samare vichitram shatrorapi brahmamapasya gatah padam te.
Nissambhramastvamayachitashapamoksho vritrasuratvamupagamya surendra yodhi bhaktyatmatattvakathanai samare vichitram shatrorapi brahmamapasya gatah padam te. Nissambhramastvamayachitashapamoksho vritrasuratvamupagamya surendra yodhi bhaktyatmatattvakathanai samare vichitram shatrorapi brahmamapasya gatah padam te.
On the first line, Tvayam Ayachita. Tvayam Ayachita.
Nissambhramastvamaya Tvamamayachita shapamoksho.
No, you are saying Tvama. It's Tvayam. Ya is coming.
Oh, okay. Tvayamayachita.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Verse 11. Tvatsevanena ditirindra vadodhyatapi tan pratyutendra suhrudo maruto bhilebe dushtashayepi shubhadhaiva bhavan nisheva tattadrishastvamamam bhavanalayesha. And the small story about the Maruts, who are very religious, another set of beings, demigods. So like Diti, who is the mother of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, because all her children are getting killed by Indra and everybody else, she wanted more people to fight Indra, who was Aditi's children, by the way. So she goes and requests Kashyapa again, like last time, but this time Kashyapa persuades her, saying, don't do anything wrong. And to her are then born the Maruts. So not much story behind it, saying the Maruts are born, who originally Diti wanted somebody to get rid of Indra. But this time Kashyapa convinces her not to do anything like that. And the Maruts are born, who are very favorable to the demigods. And they also become the demigods. With that, this entire thing comes to an end. Tvat sevanena ditirindra vadodhyatapi, tan pratyutendra suhrudo marutobhilebhe dushtashayepi shubhadaiva bhavan nisheva, tattadrishas tvamavamam pavanala yesha. Lord Guruvarapa, please eradicate all my ailments and protect me. Tvatsevanena ditirindra vadodhyatapi tan pratyutendra suhrudo maruto bhilebhe दुष्टाशयेऽपि शुभदैव भवन्निषेवा तत्तादृशस्त्वमवमां पवनालयेश
त्वत्सेवनेन दितिरिन्द्रवधोध्यतापि तान् प्रच्युतेन्द्रसुहृदो मरुतोऽभिलेभे दुष्टाशयेऽपि शुभदैव भवन्निषेवा तत्तादृशस्त्वमवमां पवनालयेश त्वत्सेवनेन दितिरिन्द्रवधोध्यतापि तान् प्रच्युतेन्द्रसुहृदो मरुतोऽभिलेभे दुष्टाशयेऽपि शुभदैव भवन्निषेवा तत्तादृशस्त्वमवमां पवनालयेश त्रयोविंशतिदशकम्
वत्सेवनेन तितिरेन्द्रवदोद्यतापि तान् प्रत्युतेन्द्रसुहृदो मरुतो बिलेशे दृष्टाशयेऽपि शुभदैव भवन्निषेवा शेवा तत्तादृशस्त्वमव मां पवनालयेश
And the second line la maruto bilebhe.
मरुतो बिलेभे.
And the third line is du. You said drishtashayopi. It's dushtashayopi.
दुष्टाशय. Okay. त्वत्सेवनेन दितिरेन्द्रवधोद्यतापि तान् प्रत्युतेन्द्रसुहृदो मरुतोऽभिलेभे दुष्टाशयेऽपि शुभदैव भवन्निषेवा तत्तादृशस्त्वमव मां पवनालयेश.
Krishnaaya Parabrahmane Namaha. We'll just do a couple of quick stanzas of 24. We'll get started on that. That's a long dashakam. So 24 is Prahlada Charita Varnanam. Charitam about Prahlada, right? First, and then Narasimhavataram will come. Stanza 1. Hiranyakshe potri pravara vapusha deva bhavata hate shoka kroda glapita dhritiretasya sahajaha hiranya prarambah kashipuhu amarharati sadasi pratignamatene tavakila vadhartam madhuripo. I'll say the meaning in the next class because we don't have much time today. So Hiranyakshe potri pravara vapusha deva bhavata, comma, hate, comma, shoka kroda dhlapita dhriti retasya sahajaha. Hiranyakshe potri pravara vapusha deva bhavata hate shoka kroda glapita dhriti retasya sahajaha.
हिरण्याक्षे पोत्रिप्रवरवपुषा देव भवता हते शोकक्रोधग्लपितधृतिरेतस्य सहजः हिरण्याक्षे 2 times okay right no Rajesh ji हिरण्याक्षे पोत्रिप्रवरवपुषा देव भवता हते शोकक्रोधग्लपितधृतिरेतस्य सहजः
हिरण्याक्षे पौत्रिप्रवरवपुषा देव भवता हते शोकक्रोधग्लपितधृतिरेतस्य सहजः.
And the hate kapram or comma after that word hate, okay? Second line.
Hate, okay. हिरण्याक्षे पौत्रिप्रवरवपुषा देव भवता हते शोकक्रोधग्लपितधृतिरेतस्य सहजः.
Hiranya prarambah, put a sound to join. Prarambah kashipuhu. So the r that is there, we're going to break it, put a visarga comma, kashipuhu. Next word will start with the a. Amararati sadasi, comma. Pratignamatene, comma. Tava kila vadhartam madhuripo. Hiranya prarambah kashipuhu. Amarharati sadasi pratignamatene tavakila vadhartam madhuripo.
हिरण्यप्रारम्भः कशिपुः अमराराति सदसि प्रतिज्ञामातेने तव किल वदार्थं मधुरिपो.
The third line, Lakshmi, it means that visarga becomes like you can put a H, right, to join. Hiranya prarambah kashipuhu.
प्रारम्भः. हिरण्यप्रारम्भः कशिपुः अमराराति सदसि प्रतिज्ञामातेने तव किल वदार्थं मधुरिपो.
हिरण्यप्रारम्भः कशिपुः अमराराति सदसि प्रतिज्ञामातेने तव किल वधार्थं मधुरिपो. हिरण्यप्रारम्भः कशिपुः अमराराति सदसि प्रतिज्ञामातेने तव किल वधार्थं मधुरिपो.
Do one more and stop.
Rajesh, one quick thing. In the first line after Hiranyakshe, is there a comma?
No, there's no comma there. First line is together, comma at the end.
Okay.
Vidhatharam, comma, ghoram cha khalu tapasitva nachirataha, comma, puraha, put is to join, puras sakshat kurvan, comma, sura nara mrigadhyaira nidhanam. If you want to break it, it's mrigadhyair anidhanam, but you can say the whole word together, mrigadhyaira nidhanam. Vidhataram ghoram sakhalu tapasitva nachiratah puras sakshat kurvan suranara mrigadhyaira nidhanam.
विधाता
Rajesh, sorry. Mrugadhaira va Mrugadhera?
Mrigadhyair.
Dhyai.
Yair.
Okay.
विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाध्यैरनिधनम्. विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाध्यैरनिधनम्.
विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाध्यैरनिधनम्. विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाध्यैरनिधनम्.
Varam labdva dripto, comma, jagadiha bhavan nayakamidam, comma, parikshundan nindrat. So this word, I'll break it into one place. Parikshundan nindrat aharata. So the that is there, you can break it into an it and a a, so you'll be able to say it. Parikshundan nindrat aharata divam, comma, Tvam aganayan. Varam labdhva dripto jagadiha bhavannayakamidam parikshundan nindrataharata divam tvam aganayan.
वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगनयन्. वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगनयन्.
वरं लब्ध्वा द्रुतो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रात् अहरत दिवं त्वामगणयन्.
Harini, in the third line, dripto, ip sound. Labdhva dripto.
Okay. Varam labdva drupto jagadiha bhavannayakamidam parikshundannindrataharata divam tvamaganayan.
Stop here today. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next Saturday.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Shraddha.